I wanted to jump on here. This is not a scheduled live. I feel like every time I try to do a scheduled live, something comes up and it makes it very difficult. So I figured I will just start coming on sporadically, and if I can catch you, great. If not, you can watch the replays. But if you join and you want to share where you are watching from, make sure to post it in the comments below. Today, I want to talk about wrist pain and mother's thumb. So if you listen to the podcast, awesome, you'll kind of know what I'm talking about because we did a movement snack. So each Thursday, I do movement snacks on my podcast where I talk about different things, ways to move more, or if you're dealing with aches and pains or anything like that. So I had a question the other day about dealing with wrist pain, and I noticed also someone was commenting about dealing with pain in their thumb. So I wanted to just kind of give you an idea of what may be happening and exercises you can do to help. So, and you'll see my cats coming in the background here. There you go. Hello, Tina. How are you? Do you know that we have cats now? Okay, so I'll get sidetracked if I go off on that. Okay, so mother's thumb tends to happen a lot of times for moms after having children, just because of how we tend to hold our arm with holding our child. But you may also deal with it yourself at any point in time. And it usually has to do with maybe how you're carrying things or doing things, especially as we've become so tech savvy with our thumbs, we're overusing them. So we've got to work on strengthening them. One thing I like to do is grab like a rubber band, or here's a elastic for my hair. And you're just going to put it around your fingers, and you're going to work on opening your fingers up. And this is just going to work on strengthening those fingers. So that's one of the first things that you can do. The second thing is many of us tend to hold our hands closed, right? So everything we're doing is closed. Well, what happens is when we do this, we shorten the muscles in our hands. So we've got to work on creating extension and opening of our hands. So what I like to have people do is take your thumb and you're going to reach it over to your pinky, and then you're going to open it, like go in the, not the opposite direction, but you can go in the opposite direction, and then open it up. And the goal is to look at your hand and see, is it flat, or do you still kind of have your hand curved like this? If you have your hand curved like this, you can work on massaging into that area to work on trying to release some of the tension, and then just kind of opening it up. Another thing that we can do, and this is going to get into some of the wrist issues we have, is we tend to not be on this hands and knees position a lot. And this is a great way to start working on opening that hand up if you're tighter here, because now you're working with creating that gravity down on it. And what I like to do is when I'm in this position, you may notice your thumb, here I'll show it this way, your thumb is closer to your hands. You can start working on trying to pull your thumb down comfortably, don't overdo it, and see, can you get your thumb into a more L shape? And what you may notice when you do this, what happens? You tend to kind of fall in here. So work through, just like with every muscle in our body, we want to try to move through different positions to see what it feels like. So you're going to be here and work through trying to press towards the outside of the hand, and then press towards the inside of the hand, and press towards the outside of the hand. If this causes discomfort, then you don't have to do this. I just want you starting to really kind of feel where you tend to move to when you are in these different positions. And I like to try to press through my full hand. So if we're thinking of like our feet, we have like a 3-point positioning where we're going to the forefoot and the heel. Same thing with your hands. Try not to roll in on them. Try to get all 3 points connected. So in between the first, well, say the first 2 fingers, the last 2 fingers, and the heel of your hand to press down. So that is everything that I would do for my thumbs. Moving into the wrists, same type of thing. We want to work on stretching and strengthening. So when we work on strengthening, just honestly, some of this positioning where you're on your hands and knees is going to help you to strengthen your wrists. You can work on some basic stretching where if I'm here, I'm going to kind of go back. So this is going to be releasing and then come forward. Now with forward, you need to be gentle because it's going to start to hurt. You are just working on stretching through that wrist area. You may notice some tension tightness here or here. And I just kind of lean into it and I breathe. And again, you can press through all points of those hands. So the midpoint and the heel of the hand. And then also notice what your thumbs are doing. This side is tighter than the other side. So just pay attention to that. That might mean that I need to work into that area a little bit more, working on stretching. You can do a little pulling, but you don't want to do anything too much. So just nice and easy. The next one, this gets really uncomfortable for some people, so go easy. What I'm going to do, and some people are like, I can't even do that, is we're going to turn our hands around. I want you to know that when you're back here, if your fingertips are facing this way, this is an enormous amount of stretch. So you have got to be very careful, okay? So don't overdo this. So I'm going to place my hand down here, and you might want to just do one at a time so you've got a little bit more control. So you're just going to work on trying to bring that hand around, and just know that if I go this way, that's less stretch. As I move this way, that's more stretch, right? So opposite of what I did last time. And just go easy with it. You can do both, but honestly, unless you feel comfortable with this, I wouldn't even bother doing both. Let's just do one at a time. So get here, get comfortable here, and then you can start pulling back. And you'll notice you may have more tension on one side over the other. So these are all stretching. What we're going through here with the wrists is stretching them. We tend to be in this position most of the day for many of us, especially those of us who work a lot. So bringing them into this position, this flexion, is a nice way to stretch it out. For strengthening, what you're doing is you want to work on strengthening the forearms, the supporting of the point. So I usually will tell people, my clients, you don't always want to go to the source. You don't want to go to the source of the pain. You want to work around it. So when I'm thinking of wrist, if my wrist is hurting, what can I do either to stretch around it or to strengthen around it? And that's where I'm going to strengthen my hands and I'm going to strengthen my forearms to help support the joint. So strengthening the forearms, you can grab like a towel, like you're wringing out a towel. I like to straighten my arms out to do this. When you're here, I just don't feel like you're going to get the same strengthening of it. So you'll go here. I've seen where people will you'll have a stick, you'll attach a rope to the stick, you attach a weight to the rope, and then you can do this. I honestly think, let's look at what can we naturally do. You know, if you clean and you're not using those wipes and you're using like a rag or something, try to do that. Yeah, that's really the only idea. I'm not going to say wash your clothes by hand, because that would be ridiculous. But I mean, maybe if you have certain things you want to do. Anyway, the other thing that I would say is the finger strengthening, and that was, like I mentioned, these opening. You can go onto your fingertips. There are great little like circle things where you can work on strengthening like your grip strength. And you may have heard how grip strength can show the health of like your longevity. So that is something else you might want to work with. They have those ones where you can press in and out. Those are great. But the more you can strengthen your hands and your fingers, the more it's going to help protect the wrist. So hopefully that information helps you in providing you with stretching and strengthening of both the thumbs and the wrists. And if you have questions for me in regard to this, go ahead and ask it. If you have a question about something else that you're dealing with, some sort of pain that you're dealing with and you're looking for answers, or honestly anything with health, fitness, wellness, that type of thing, you are welcome to ask it here. If I don't know it, I will find out the information or find someone who does know that. So feel free to ask away, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. And make sure, as always, to keep moving.